there has been a lot of talk about the black vote and whether or not it is shifting over to Donald Trump. And I don't know, as a white guy, I find it pretty ridiculous that people would now say that the black vote is shifting towards Donald Trump because he's a felon and they can relate. As a black woman, Lana, what do you think?
No, like if Democrats are trying to keep the black vote coalition together and you have the black community saying, we need you to come out to the community, we need you to do more, you know, not just when it's time for us to vote. Why do you think then we would turn around and be like, you know what, we're gonna go with Trump, the guy who just doesn't show up? Like, why would anyone do that? Trump literally does not show up ever. He just says it. He just says, black people love me. The blacks love me. Like, he just doesn't say it. No, it's not shifting. They're talking about 20%, 25%. I don't know who they're talking about. Of course, there's low-hanging fruit. There's always going to be some black people or some Latino people, I'm sure. Like, of course, but
I think, Lana, we talked about this before. First of all, sometimes stupidity doesn't know race. Just because, you know, there's on both sides, right, or on all races, and on all, some people are just uneducated. So they hear something that they think resonates with them and they go. My guess is that a lot of people, whether you're black, white, and you're uneducated, but you're trying to get part of the conversation, probably not even registered to vote. You know, you're probably
exactly.
So those are the ones talking the loudest about it, and they'll get around to it eventually.
He signed my stimulus check, and it's just like, it was not his idea. He didn't want to do it. It was Nancy Pelosi's idea. Like,
well, let's not skim over the fact that we have to go with the premise that black people are now leaning towards Donald Trump because they relate with him being a felon, or they relate because he's being screwed by the system. I think if anybody paid any attention to the trial, you know, you might have some things you're like, I really don't understand this. I don't understand that. I don't understand. But I think what most people understand is that the people who are in that courthouse every day and they're listening to the testimony every single day, that they understand what happened and that they made a ruling based on the evidence that they heard every single day. So, you know, this idea that, you know, the system was against Donald Trump, so now these black voters are going to relate with that, it's a strategy that is baffling to me, and
Donald Trump is
pretty outrageous.
Rich white man. He's the same rich white man that black people know discriminated against and was sued in housing court because he didn't want to sue rent to black people. Mm-hmm. Black people also know that he said he wouldn't trust black people to count his money. Yep. Black people also know that he called black countries shithole countries. Like, black people also know that he called for Central Park Five to be executed. Like, ain't nobody forgot all of this. Black people know that he called black women, told them to go back to their own country. We know that Shay Moss and Ruby, that he said passing fucking vials of heroin, cocaine. Like, we know these things. Like, we didn't forget that Trump is a racist. He didn't, like, who forgot this?
Does somebody like 50 Cent, does he make a difference?
No, what who? We already 50 Cent, Ice Cube, Lil Wayne. Who fucking cares what they say? I mean,
you know why they don't make a difference? I'll tell. I mean, because somebody, even like when you have a guy who owns a social media platform that is basically like Elon Musk, he's not making a difference either. Neither is fucking Donald Trump, who's probably the most popular person in the world. He is not getting his message across enough to win this election. I know, you know, we still have time to go, and I know
but 50's losing fans, right? Like, so that, because that's how crazy this is. When, what's his name? Oh my God, what? God, the light-skinned big rapper. He bought a pair of Trump's sneakers and went on live. He's a popular rapper too. and he got dragged because they're like, "What the fuck you doing, man? Like what is this?"
Yeah.
No,
Well,
it's
when
not
Stephen A. Smith tried to compare the two, I mean, I
and he
saw
got
on
dragged.
Twitter the black community was like, dude, what the fuck are you
Right.
doing? What are you, insane?
Right. So you see that it's not going to be all of the black communities just like turning over to Trump. Like the majority knows better. You're always going to get the ones that are not educated, don't really follow, or think it's cool to go against the norm, because you always have those people
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to be on that Democratic plantation.
They're contrarians. They think
Yeah.
it's cool to be contrarian.
And then half of them probably don't vote.
Correct. Well, the Biden administration just came out with an ad recently that was pretty good and was directed towards, the black community and just letting them know, and you're right too, the Biden is more apt, and Kamala Harris is more apt to go out to the community and talk to them and say, this is what we're doing. And it's not just for the black, they're doing it for everybody. That's the thing, and it's just, I think that's where a lot of people feel good about when you vote for Joe Biden and when you vote for Democrats, because it's not about a certain group of people. It's about everybody, and it's inclusive, and it's not perfect. And we do have a lot of work to do, but we're not like, you're just doing this for black people and you're not doing anything for me. It's not like that. It's like, yes, if there are grievances through different groups of people that are marginalized, it's fine to address those. That is not a problem. And if they need to be addressed,
equality, right? Like it's about equality and equity. And that's
correct. That's what the whole country's based on.
Right. If you've already had a 400 head start, you're not giving the marginalized anything extra or anything to pass or surpass you. You're just giving them things so they can catch up.
100%. And
that's all that is.
Do not disagree with that. And it doesn't bother me if there was a particular program that helped a particular group of people that were far behind in the history. Because if you knew the history of this country, if you even knew half of it, you should be able to understand that part. But a lot of people just don't. But let's take a look at the ad and tell me what you think if you haven't seen it, Lana. Add to stage. What are we doing? There we go.
On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory.
Another cultural.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it. And I'm proud to have done it. In the good old days, they used to treat them very, very rough. And when they protested once, they would not do it again so easily. Remember the old days? The old days, boom, firing squad. And we're going to go back to the old days. We're going back to the old days. What the hell do you have to lose?
Yep, fire.
Yeah, Lana, as somebody, a black woman that is, immersed in the black culture, is that the first time that you've seen that ad?
Yeah, that's fire.
And what are your thoughts? Yeah,
it's fire. It's perfect. I mean, it needs to be everywhere. Like I haven't seen it on TV. Why?
I think they just released it. So it's brand new. So I hope that does get out there more.
Yeah. TikTok, put that shit on TikTok.
Well, I'm glad you brought up TikTok, because there's a gentleman named his name's Kenny, but I think he goes by wait, what? Lana, let me get on my glasses.
Too Raw, Too Real.
Yes, Too Raw, Too Real. Do you know him?
Yeah, we follow each other.
What? And you got a follow from Jasmine Crockett recently, didn't you? You motherfucker! How'd you do that? Pisses me off. Fuck that! God damn it! Can you just send her a DM and say, "Hey, can you follow my bud, please?" I love her. That would be. Oh shit, that was awesome. But Too Raw, Too Real, Kenny. Yeah, I was scrolling through Twitter the other day. I do follow him, and I saw this video where he was talking to the black community, and it was really, really good. I was watching. It's like, holy shit, this kid knows
He just
exactly
came from the
what
White House. He's a Kamala stan. So Kamala invites him to things now. Like because he's been standing for Kamala since day one. And she noticed him. Like finally she noticed him and she invited him to a few events there. And then he just went to Juneteenth up
was
there.
he.
So.
I think he may have been part of, because I know that the White House is doing a pretty smart thing, is what they're finding a lot of these very left side influencers that they invited to the White House, and Kamala Harris had them all there and was talking to, and I'm sure he was one of them, because I know he's extremely popular and he's very, he's got a lot of followers. But this one's a little short of 3 minutes, I think, but I think every second of it is worth watching. And I don't know if you've seen it yet, Lana, but it was really good. So take a few minutes to take a watch or take a look and listen to Kenny, Too Raw, Too Real.
The Democrats don't care about blacks. They only show up every 4 years and then disappear. And that's a whole lie. Just like it's a lie that having black representation only equates to decoration, as if most of these pro-black legislations haven't been pushed by advocacy and policy by members of the CBC. There's maternal health on the books, there's criminal justice on the books, there's dealing with racial disparities on the books. However, none of these policies get passed because we're dealing with a dysfunctional Republican-controlled Congress. The 118th Republican-led Congress has been a shit show since the very beginning. Yep. How many looming government shutdowns were we facing? They couldn't even decide on the Speaker of the House and then replace one of the speakers in less than 8 months. According to analytics, this Republican-led Congress is on trend to being the least effective Congress in U.S. history. And just because Republicans ain't doing something doesn't mean Democrats aren't. Let's compare and contrast. From 2021 to 2022, the Democratic-led 117th Congress was able to pass historical bills like the American Rescue Plan, which provided $1,400 stimulus and lifted black children out of poverty. Yep. Within that policy, we were able to invest an historic amount into small minority business, particularly black businesses. And let's not forget the $5.8 billion investment into our HBCUs. Democrats were able to pass the CHIPS and Science Act, which provides more funding for programs like STEM for historically black colleges. And since y'all just be talking saying Democrats ain't doing this and that, and the CBC just be sitting on their booty, within the Inflation Reduction Act, which was passed by Democrats, the provision that was added, which capped the cost of insulin for seniors, was actually a provision added by the chair of the CBC, Stephen Holsford. Are we really gonna sit back here and act like Democrats weren't doing the damn thing when we had the House and we had a slim majority in the Senate? Are we gonna sit here and act like Democrats didn't pass the historical infrastructure bill, which allocated $55 billion into clean water, as if black babies aren't being poisoned by lead pipes? Come on, you guys, Google is free and the policies speak for themselves. We know that when black faces are in places, things change, and we have the ability to make things change faster if we vote. And even with Republicans holding us back, Democrats have been able to deliver. They've been able to pick up the slack where Congress lacks, particularly with the Biden-Harris administration, with their executive authorities. As much as we talk about maternal health and maternal mortality and how it disproportionately impacts the black community, did you know that within the Biden-Harris administration, they were able to expand postpartum care from 1 month to 12 months, which is now being adopted in 46 states. Thank you, Biden-Harris. We're dealing with racial equity and debt-to-income ratio. Biden-Harris has been able to cancel $153 billion worth of student loan debt. When it comes to black equity, you cannot argue with these numbers. Biden had the lowest black unemployment rate than any president in history. So let's end this notion that Democrats don't give a damn about blacks, because the policies speak for themselves and these numbers don't lie. This is what real research looks like.
Yeah, Lana, I want to hear obviously everything you have to say on that, but forget about who he's talking to, whether black, white, whatever. If everybody knew those facts, this would be a blowout. It wouldn't even be close. Forget about just the black community, the white community, the Hispanic community. Right. If everybody knew this, it would not be close. But Lana, tell me what you think about what Kenny had to say.
Data doesn't lie. Republicans do. It's just as plain as simple. People are low informed. It's like they don't want to know. They want to be on a side. There's no reason for it. Like, it's just insane. You can find the Kennys online to get this information, is whether you believe it or not, because yourself, if you get a MAGA, you could tell them all of what Kenny just said, and then they'll be like, whoa, Joe is molests his daughter.
Right.
Like he was in the shower with his daughter. Like that's what they will say.
Well, where that helps is that Kenny, obviously very smart, but it says it in an animated way that may help a little bit somebody that just doesn't like to listen to the boring old, sort of politics. But I think, again, that's where we run into the biggest issue is that I think a lot of people who resonate with the right side of politics get involved in these over-the-top culture wars that are more Jerry Springerish, that makes their senses as in, I want to be more involved with this. I hear it in sports talk now all the time. You can't turn on a goddamn sports show without controversy after controversy after controversy. There's no sports shows where, and it's just literally from the morning to the afternoon to the night, it's just people screaming about this player sucks, this team sucks, and it's obviously spilled over into our politics,
Right.
and that's why you have a lot of people who were not as interested in politics. Now they're interested in it because it's professional wrestling and it's Jerry Springer.
Yeah. It's really sad.
It
Like,
really is. It's
that's why
sad.
you're interested in women are not being able to have medical care. Like, like that's
Mm.
why, there's a guy, I forget his name now, that's all over the news because his wife almost died. She almost bled to death.
Is in Texas?
Yeah, like she just almost died because they kept sending this woman home from the hospital and wouldn't go on and give her an abortion. Her fetuses were dying, dead, like she's miscarrying. They're like, go home. You're not bleeding enough. Like, and that's what the Supreme Court is waiting to rule on too. Like at what point could a woman have an abortion like that? It's crazy that.
Well, you're going to have a lot of doctors are going to be, I'm not doing that shit because now I'm going to get arrested. So there's going to be so many people that are like, I don't know the rules. I don't know what we're supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do.
Right.
And you're going to have people dying in a fucking emergency room for no reason.
You know what they said to him when he brought her back, like the third or fourth time when she literally losing all of the fluid out of her body. It wasn't even just miscarriage stuff. It was a lot of the stuff. Takes her to a hospital. They said, thank God you brought her in when you did.
Oh.
Thank God you, like she was already here.
Right.
She was
what
here.
are you talking about? Yeah.
She was here 2, 3, 4 times. And you kept.
I got to tell you, man, if it were my wife that were on that, I would just be, that would drive me insane. I would snap. I mean, because that to me, and you know what's going to happen? You're going to have dudes that are going to snap. You're going to have women, family members. You're going to have men, family members that are going to snap. Yeah. And it's going to turn into a very ugly, nasty scene.
There's going to be a bad scene because Texas is already open carry.
Yeah.
Anyone can have a gun at anywhere. Probably in a hospital, you can have one. You are going to have a husband that snaps. You are going to give my wife
a husband that voted for Trump that snaps.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know what this political lean is, but this man right now, he's doing all the circuits. He's joined an organization. Like he is speaking out. She's remained anonymous, but that husband, he's non-stoppable right now. And that's what we need.
Lana, let me ask you something. The guy who's voting for Trump that's in the crowd and he's wearing the hat and the t-shirt and the glasses and all that goofy shit. And he's cheering at every word he has to say. And they're in a rally in Texas. He votes for Donald Trump. Donald Trump wins. They get together their entire group of sycophant nut jobs to put in all the rules and laws that they want to put in. And one of those Mexicans that he screams about comes over illegally, rapes his 13-year-old daughter, and she gets pregnant. Is he going to be fine with that young girl having the baby?
Jeez, you said you said someone that came over illegally. He's probably going to have more of a problem with that than anything else.
You might be right.
Yeah, he probably won't even the baby and the pregnancy is not even a problem. He gonna just be like, the wiggles are over here. Like that's gonna be the main thing. Wrong
I mean,
scenario.
right. You may be right. He'd be like, yeah, forget about the pregnancy right now. We're going after the Mexican because he
Yeah,
was probably
yeah,
going after him anyway.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because now he feels emboldened under this
Right,
new regime that
right.
he owns a gun in Texas and now he's able to track down
Yeah,
Mexicans that are here illegal and
yeah.
he can shoot them. He can do whatever he wants
Oh,
to do
it's
because he's going to consider it he's in my home on my property.
so it's gonna be so bad.
There's
It's
no
so
question. And
dangerous.
anybody that doesn't think that shit like this isn't going to go down, and I know people say this, and you hear it on the right all the time, open up your eyes and you're not paying attention. You're truly not paying attention if you think that this is just going to be, we get through everything. It's America.
Now,
We'll
how do
figure
you
it
get
out.
through that when you have daughters or girls or sisters? Like, how do you get through that?
I don't know how they think that we're going to figure this out when you have every single person in the administration that has ultimate power. How are you going to figure it out? I mean, we've already had to shrug our shoulders many times ago. It is what it is. I
Yeah.
guess we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, this is gonna be, but like everything is gonna be national. They're gonna change the education system nationally.
Education. They're going to destroy education.
Yeah,
They don't
exactly.
want
Yeah,
educated people.
yeah,
What do you think they want? They're
yeah,
fucking crowds. These idiots that scream that have no more than a 10th grade, and that's being
right.
nice, education.
Yeah.
And they know they can brainwash all of them. And that's really what it comes down to. And it's just, and you kind of feel bad for them because they don't know any better. And I know people that just don't know any better. And it's just like,
Fuck
man.
libraries. We don't need libraries. Who needs to read these books anyway? Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, these poor kids.
I don't know, man. It's just, but I still contend we're fine. Don't worry about it. Biden's winning this thing.